WWE Backstage. I am Renee Young. Let me just say very quickly that I am so happy that we can continue to do this during all of these crazy times. And guys, joining me after a very rare week away, he's a two-time WWE Hall of Famer, Booker T. We've also got the world's strongest man and also WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. Mark Henry. And the last time that he was with us, we all learned just how invaluable he was to each of the 7 Money in the Bank ladder matches that he participated in. It's Christian. Gentlemen, how's everybody doing? Great to see your faces again.
Awesome.
Yeah. Great. In a word for me, good. Good.
If I don't get a haircut soon, I'll look like Christian circa 2001.
Bring it back.
Have to bring out those.
Bring it back, man. Everybody wants it.
Come on.
Get those goggles. Mark, that chair you're sitting in is quite luxurious.
It's meant for 2, but 1, it fits 1 just perfectly.
All right, guys, so Money in the Bank is just around the corner with less than 2 weeks to go. A number of superstars were scrambling to earn their way into the May 10 pay-per-view, which you can catch, of course, on the WWE Network. Here's how things started to shape up over the past week.
The thing about us, we can strike anywhere at any time.
And the Forgotten Son strike. Sasha Banks rolling up Lacey from behind. Bailey with the official. Bailey in a woman's right by Evans. Evans is going to Money in the Bank. Oh, days. And Corbin qualifies for Money in the Bank.
25 years of the game. Your performance and you, in general, are truly just god-awful. I mean, absolutely rotten. He has thrown us out.
Sets up Tozawa for the collapse. The collapse. The move that helped him capture the WWE title. Helps him gain a victory tonight. And down go Baszler and Asuka. Nia Jax standing tall, all alone. Apollo Crews from the top. No.
Came out right down on that knee.
And Andrade, remorseless, trying to go after Crews.
No.
It's clear you're completely full of
Oh, Claymore to Murphy. McIntyre was that close to having Rollins.
Man, we had to bleep that S-bomb. It had to happen. So Drew McIntyre made his dreams come true at WrestleMania 36 when he defeated the Beast for the WWE title. Now it's the Beast Slayer he's got to deal with. Booker, how did you think about how we closed out Raw last night with a contract signing?
You know, I always loved the contract signings back in the day because just like Drew said, it was always going to end up in, some form of, contact, and no different in this one right here. But what I liked about Drew McIntyre, he's actually feel like he's stepping into his own, even though we're having to go out and perform the way we're performing right now without a crowd or anything like that. He is bringing the realism effect into the arena, and for me, that's what I like. He's almost a throwback to what I used to see when I was coming up, and that was a main in the middle of that square circle, and that's what we got a chance to see on Monday night.
Quick shout out to just how far Drew McIntyre tossed that contract table, though, by the way. He hauled that thing.
Wow.
Mark, what do you think about Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins?
You know what? I thought it was great. I thought that Seth Rollins is really believing everything that he's saying. Of course, Drew McIntyre, he came across exactly the way that I wish he would have, and that is the way that he phrased it. And he's like, "You really believe your own bull?" I loved it. I mean, it popped me huge.
Christian, what's your take on it?
Well, I liked it from both of their perspectives. I like that Drew pointed out, first of all, the obvious when he got in there when he said to Lawler, "Hey, you might want to hit the bricks here. This is going to get physical." We all know these things all end up that way. I like that he kept his cool. I like that he had his he was composed, and I like that he just got right to business. He just signed the contract and was like, "Hey, you got something to say? Say it. I'm signed up. Let's do this." And from Seth's point of view, I think he's playing off real feelings here. Seth really does in his heart believe that he's a leader. And I feel like that he felt like the performances that he was giving, maybe the reactions weren't matching that. He felt he was doing his part. The fans weren't necessarily doing their part. So now this is a byproduct of that. You know, they don't realize they need a leader, but he's just going to tell them, he's going to show them why they do.
Hey, can I piggyback off that for a second?
Yeah.
With Seth Rollins, you know, he got put in that position, and sometimes you get put in a position, and you're either going to deliver or you're going to drop the ball. And being, you know, the Monday Night Messiah, that's huge. That's huge right there. But he's definitely, you know, kind of like JBL back in the day used to say, man, I'm a wrestling god. You know, he wasn't the best wrestler on the roster at all, but he went out and performed each and every night. He believed in it. And I think that's what Seth Rollins is doing right now. He's channeling something, and I think it's something that is beautiful. It's actually really good.
And Mark, real quick, what do you think about Murphy? Connected into this now.
Well, I think he got his face kicked off, one. And two, I think that he served his purpose, but only to get Seth Rollins out of the ring. But I think that Seth Rollins is, one, delusional and off his meds, and two, his work rate is something that we haven't seen since the Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Rock, Steve Austin days, guys, Booker T's, ilk.
I appreciate that, Doug. I appreciate it.
I have to say that even though he's delusional, he's the kind of guy that you want to see in the ring in a championship capacity.
Definitely. Well, guys, we've seen quite a few new faces making a splash in the past month or so. And Friday night on SmackDown, it was a tag division that grew even deeper.
We could strike, and you wouldn't see it coming.
Oh, and Blake went right after Big E, and now a melee underway. Kofi about to meet a similar fate. There's a reason these three men have been called savages.
Christian, what do you see the Forgotten Sons bringing to the table on the blue brand?
Well, I like, first of all, they had a chip on their shoulder, you know. I think the sample size is pretty small here, but I like what I see so far. I like their message, you know, the fact that they serve their country and they feel like they weren't appreciated for it. They talked about being trained a different way, physically and mentally than anybody else, and that gives them an edge. I like the fact they said they're going to, you know, and they're going to use those talents that they have that are different than anybody else to serve them instead of serving other people. And I also think, you know, as much as you know, we're talking about three brands here, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, there is a different feel on each show. There's a different style on each show. And I feel like, much like I said this about Elias a long time ago, I felt like moving over from NXT was better suited for his style and he would really flourish once he left NXT. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing here for the Forgotten Sons. I think that this is more their style. I think they'll fit in better on SmackDown, especially with what we've seen here as far as how deep the tag division is getting.
Book, you a fan?
Yeah, I don't know yet. You know what I mean? But definitely they're in a sink or swim position. It's one of those things. I like it. Every time I was put in a position like these guys, you know, hey, you're in the game. Hey, you got to score. I like the element of the surprise. I like, you know, if you go steal somebody, you do it quick, you do it fast, and you do it first. That's what I like about the Forgotten Sons. Are they going to make it on the main roster? That's yet to be seen. I got to see a whole lot more of these guys before I put my stamp of approval on them.
Well, Mark, you seem to know a little bit more about the Forgotten Sons.
I do. I spent a lot of time with them, and Christian and I both have gone through some of the training that they received being in the Funkin' Dojo. And you know that after you came out of the Funkin' Dojo with Dory Funk, that you were better. And all three of these guys have survived the dojo. They're well-seasoned wrestlers. They can do it all in the ring. And I actually spent some time in Jacksonville, North Carolina, at the military base that they were at when we did some tribute to the troops events. And they are a cohesive unit. Of course, I got to meet the person in catering in charge of the mess hall. I had a lot of questions. They gave me some Jell-O. That's all. I kept begging for Jell-O. They gave it to me.
There's always room for Jell-O, Mark.
There's always room for Jell-O. I met their staff sergeants, and everybody said the same thing. They're hard workers, and they're like brothers, and they work together.
Well, here's the thing, too. There's three of them, right? Much like we see with the New Day. So
Right.
it could be one of those things where, hey, we don't know which two are going to compete in a match. And think about it too. They got physical with the New Day on SmackDown. So maybe in that first meeting, maybe neither one of them is going to tip their hand, which could actually, add some layers to this and make for interesting developments as well.
Well, the tag division on SmackDown is looking good. But guys, do not go anywhere, because when WWE Backstage returns, Mr. WrestleMania himself, that's right, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, joins us next. Guys, he's regarded as one of the best to ever do it. And if he's not on your Mount Rushmore of all-time greatest superstars, you are doing it wrong. It's the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Thanks so much for joining us, Shawn.
Thank you, Renee. Thanks for having me. All those pictures you showed me, I don't look anything like that.
You look great. You're a distinguished man. You're working with it. I dig it.
It's a quarantine beard.
It's okay. I got a quarantine haircut. We're all just trying to do our best. So, Shawn, Friday on SmackDown, we got to see you and Triple H celebrate the 25th anniversary of his WWE career. Let's take a quick look back.
Triple H, 25-year anniversary. And if you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you. Easy. Social distancing, buddy. Social distancing.
I'm ashamed of you guys. Oh, my God. And if you haven't put everybody to sleep by now, I'll say good night. And good night, Padre.
Shawn, what was it like putting together that segment between you, Hunter, and Vince?
So strangely enough, the intent was that it started out as a comedy segment, but I think the only people that knew that were Hunter and I. I do have to say, I told my daughter, so that whole social distancing joke at the beginning is actually hers. I came home after doing a taping of NXT, and I was coming in for my usual, evening hug, and she's like, "Hey, easy, buddy."
Back it up.
Yeah, I've been quarantined from her for the last 14 days. So,
oh man,
I have to footnote that joke to my daughter.
Well, you got to give her writer's credit, and also I really enjoyed that Hunter couldn't actually do his regular entrance either. That bottle of water got swooped up real quick.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, as you know, Renee, clearly this right here is proof of it. It's been an interesting time.
Yeah.
But, even in this time, I've been learning a bunch of new stuff. I don't know, again, just every time you feel like you've seen sort of everything that this job has to offer, clearly you get shown that you haven't. And again, I guess it's interesting if nothing else.
Without question. How was it for you guys when you were putting together that segment, trying to wrap up the 25 years of Triple H and then having Vince come out and interrupt you guys? I know you guys had a couple different phone calls throughout that as well.
Yeah, well, so again, look, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. Again, it's just there was a lot more amusing stuff in there.
Some stuff got left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, some people just didn't want to do their part. So, but again, it was still fun. More importantly, again, all of this is always a fun process with me. Getting to work with Hunter, I mean, he and I have been friends for that entire 25 years. And so, believe it or not, there's always some real life aspect going on between he and I out there every time we're out there. So if for no other reason, I enjoy that aspect of it.
Though I do have to agree with you, we should have had the 25 years of Shawn Michaels. Why did you get robbed of that? What the heck?
Yeah, well, look, I don't get the happy birthday tweet from the chairman. There's all sorts of stuff I'm out. But I am way okay with that. I found that I like flying under the radar a heck of a lot more than being out there anymore. Because I look like this and I just shouldn't be in front of the camera anymore.
Oh, come on. We all need a little more HBK in our lives. I mean, flying under the radar is not really your thing. I mean, you're someone that many consider one of the absolute best to ever do it. So now you're in this position to help the next generation of superstars reach new levels. What's that been like for you?
it's been a blast. Look, that's kind of the reason it flows into the wanting to stay behind the scenes, because it is. I really enjoy that aspect of it. As Hunter's expressed on numerous occasions and on numerous interviews, and I feel the same way. It's even more enjoyable watching these other young upstarts, have their moments out there. It's been a complete blast. It really is. And it was so much more fulfilling than I possibly thought it was going to be. I absolutely fell in love with the entire job and every aspect of it. And so, look, it's never tough to go to work. It really isn't. And I can't say without a doubt, I'm absolutely behind and supportive of the next generation, and love just doing what I can to be a part of it, because it's an absolute joy to be a part of it.
So that being said, who are some of the superstars that you're keeping your eye on? I mean, I know we know some of the obvious ones of the big stars down at NXT, but is there anybody else like really behind the scenes that you're waiting to step up to that next level?
Well, so I mean that's, as you know, it's sort of an always changing group, so to speak. Over the years, heck, it started with Drew and Alistair and Ricochet and a number of those guys, and Revival, on to Gargano and Ciampa, but now, and of course, Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream. I mean, the list goes on. But now, Killer Cross.
Hell yeah.
I think there's. Or Karrion Kross. I should probably better about saying that.
We get it.
Yeah, Dexter Lumis, Tim Thatcher. I think there are a number of guys coming up that are going to be very interesting, and again are going to continue to take NXT to that next level, as they said.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you just kind of briefly touched on him here, but one superstar who reached the mountaintop himself actually credits you for helping him throughout his career. Let's take a look at that.
The number one asset was the fact that you got to work with Shawn Michaels. That was a possibility, and I asked him, even though it wasn't technically part of my contract, to work at the Performance Center. Could I come down to work with you if that's okay? It's 2 hours from my house. It's a 4-hour round trip. I'll come down any day you're here. And he was actually very you willing to do that? I'd love to work with you. And I said, yes, Shawn Michaels, greatest of all time in the ring. I am willing to drive a 4-hour round trip, a 10-hour round trip, a 20-hour round trip to work with you. But when you get to work with someone like Shawn Michaels, not many people think the way he thinks or the level he thinks on. And that was truly, getting my PhD. And he's been absolutely invaluable in my career.
I think it's been such a ride for so many of us to be able to watch the rise of Drew McIntyre. I mean, what was it like for you working with him and seeing that work ethic and that drive behind him?
Yeah, well, and again, that's the reason why I love this job so much. Again, Drew was a fantastic guy, and to his point, he didn't have. And again, I get all misty-eyed about it. He didn't have to come. He didn't, and he did make that 4-hour round trip, and was always there, was always open, was always and. I don't know, just always willing, desirous to learn, wanting to improve. Drew has so much ability, so much natural talent, and he's always had that. And he had to go sort of all the way back down to the bottom and work his way back up. He was so appreciative, so respectful. And what I enjoy most about him, other than he's just unbelievably inquisitive, which is a blast, is that, look, I used to always say, dude, you're a 6'5" Scottish stud. You don't have to do anything but just stand there. And in so many respects, that is all he has to do. But he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to be one-dimensional. He wanted to show range. He wanted to have depth and levels to him. And again, that's one of the things, again, that I've had the good fortune of being a part of in NXT, is getting a hold of these individuals. And I don't ever push it on them, but again, at least keeping it open and an option to them of having depth, being able to have range, because the audience is so much more demanding and sophisticated now that I don't think whatever, I get in there and beat people up and I don't cry, works anymore. I think you have to have varying levels, and certainly if you want longevity. And so, he was just so open to that, and he's a guy that, as you see him physically, technically does not have to do that much. He could just stick in his role and do action movies, I guess. He's not afraid to show some range, and I appreciate that out of guys when they're willing to do that.
Now we're talking about some longevity here. Edge, who just returned after 9 years away from the ring, he did not seem to miss a step. Now, you made a return to the ring after a long hiatus due to injury. A lot of people say that your second run was even better than your first. Have you had a chance to talk to Edge about your experience when you came back?
Yeah, well, we certainly talked about his, because again, that's a huge decision. And I had heard about it, but I hadn't got to talk to Adam face to face, and I wanted to hear his reasoning and how he felt. And I was surprised at how similar it was, because again, all we know is that the doctors are the experts, and they say you can't do this, and you go, okay. And then just through time and I don't know, a lot of different things, you begin to understand that our job is unlike anything else. And really, it's up to us to sort of determine whether we can do it or not. And again, especially when there's that little bit of question mark on that, I guess from the doctor's perspective, simply because they say you can't do it because they've never seen it. And so that, I think, always sort of leaves you that little window of opportunity, which again, I want to make sure I'm real clear on this. You have to be, I would always, you want to lean on the side of doctors and physicians, believe me. But like I said, there seemed to be enough of an opening there. Adam's a very smart, intelligent young man. So I knew he was going to weigh his options, and clearly he felt like it was something that he could do safely, as did his physician. And clearly I'm thrilled that he got the opportunity to end it on his, on his own record.
Yeah, I think we are all so thrilled to be able to see him come back and just have that shred of hope that I think that it provided a lot of people that could be in a similar situation. I mean, you never really know, and you got to go with your gut sometimes.
And clearly, you like ending it on your terms. It's easier to do.
For sure. Well, it was 24 years ago to the day that you and Diesel locked up at an In Your House pay-per-view. Let's take a little trip down memory lane.
What's he going to do with it? Steps him. No! We said no holds barred, but we didn't expect this. Michael, down! 1, 2, Shawn Michaels, he did the impossible.
That was actually Kevin's last match before he went over to WCW. What do you recall from that match, Shawn?
Well, the biggest thing was the power bomb through the table, which if I remember correctly, either we hadn't done it very much or it hadn't been done much, period, in the WWE at that point. And I also believe that's where we took off Mad Dog with Shawn's, prosthetic leg, which
yeah.
I don't think we could probably do nowadays, but again, it was your first sort of hardcore match, so to speak, and we were allowed to again get outside that WWE box that we had been in for quite some time, which obviously was a huge thrill to do.
So I've heard some rumblings that you've recently said that there's actually a pair of superstars that you would like to see follow in the footsteps of sort of the relationship that you and Diesel had. Who was that?
Well, so I was just using it as an example. It was Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And again, I was, because clearly they're women, so they, they're ladies. They're not going to be national. But again, I was just trying to give them an example of one is, sort of the brash, cocky one that gets bumped around a little bit, and the other one's the heater. She's the one that shuts the door down, so to speak. And anyway, again, I just thought it was a dynamic, again, that they could sort of use going forward, because it's one of those things that is very visible and easy to comprehend. And just trying to, give them an example for something to guide them on the way forward.
Yeah, I love that. See, this is why we need Shawn Michaels at NXT. You're providing all the wealth of knowledge. Got it all.
Thank you so much.
Well, Shawn, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We really appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully we can get you out to the studio in LA next time when we're up and running.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate you doing this with me.
Thanks so much. So everyone's buzzing about who their teams took in last weekend's NFL draft. Coming up, our guys are putting together a list of WWE superstars that they'd want to draft to their team. congratulations are in order for wrestling royalty. Bronson Recksteiner, the son of former WWE superstar Rick Steiner, signed with the Baltimore Ravens on Saturday. The Steiner recliner with his uncle Scott's finishing move, and hopefully on Sundays, Rick and Scott will be able to recline and watch Bronson lead block as a fullback for the Ravens. Huge congratulations. So the draft had the football world abuzz, but it's time for our backstage panel to make the headlines here. So we're going to give you guys get to pick your 5 current superstars to build your company around. Booker, we're starting with you. Let's hear it. Who's your top 5?
You said it, Renee. Build your company around. And that's what I thought about when I thought about my 5. First would be Shayna Baszler. And the reason I would pick Shayna Baszler is because I need my women's division to be strong. I need it to be as real as it possibly can be. There's nobody more real than Shayna Baszler right now. And second would be the Rhea Ripley. I look at Charlotte Flair and I say, man, she's a diamond. But I look at the Rip and I say, she's a diamond in the rough. She just need a little polish on her. She's going to be great one day. And coming in at number 4, Drew McIntyre, not because he's the champion or anything like that, but because Drew McIntyre is a guy that I need because he is a bona fide true heavyweight to the game. Like I say, a throwback. And then you got Roman Reigns. That is no better leader than a guy like Roman Reigns. When you say you're looking for a captain, you call Roman Reigns. When you say you're looking for a general, you call Roman Reigns. And then when you say you need a guy that's going to go out there and bring the noise every pay-per-view, I'm talking about give you 5 stars. There's nobody better than a guy by the name of the phenomenal AJ Styles. That is right there. Your company is built. You can take it all the way to the bank.
I love that.
That was great.
Hell of an explanation. It's like you've done this before. That's impressive as all hell.
First time I ever did it, but it sounded good.
I liked it a lot.
I'm also glad that somebody told Booker he couldn't take himself.
All right, Christian, you're up next. You get to build your team. Who are you going with?
All right, here's Team Christian. First of all, and I think this is probably going to be a no-brainer, but I'm taking Edge.
No.
All you have to do is look at the championship pedigree. Like Tom Brady in the NFL, nobody has more championships than this guy for a reason. He can elevate talent. He makes the people around him better. Second, just like Book, I took Rhea Ripley. She's this good, and she hasn't even come close to hitting her prime yet. She has all the potential to be one of the very best, if not the best, to ever do this. My third pick is Aleister Black. Simply for the reason the guy's unflappable. He has ice in his veins. He isn't intimidated by anything or any situation or any opponent. Drew McIntyre, my 4th pick. To me, the guy's the heir apparent. And for as good as he's been, this guy has another level, and that's scary for everybody else. I mentioned Edge earlier, and he's the kind of performer that can make Drew McIntyre find that next level that I'm talking about. And look, Drew McIntyre, the heir apparent. I'm picking him. My 5th pick, Bray Wyatt. I've said it before, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. The guy's a generational talent. And hey, when you need that trick play, when you need that flea flicker, when you're doing that onside kick and the lights go down and he disappears, the lights come back on and he's standing in the end zone with the football. I mean, I think everybody can use a player like that, right?
Hell of an analogy there, Christian.
Ooh.
Yes. All right. There we go. It's all laid out.
I'm laying out on it.
Okay, so Mark, we've seen that Booker and Christian have put a lot of thought into their teams here. I hope that you've done the same. I hope you thought about this.
I did think about it, and I think versatility when I think about starting a roster. And the number one guy that I think has the most versatility is Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens can do it all, good, bad, or indifferent. He gets the job done and elevates the people, just like Christian said with Edge. He's the guy that everybody that enters the ring with him comes out better. And second, the unflappable, Randy Orton. Randy Orton, I think, is in his prime, but I think he's still got room to grow. I think that he's a guy that can lead the rest of the roster. He's won more championships than anybody that I've seen in the last 15 years. And of course, Edge is back now, so we have that debate. But Randy Orton is that historical talent. And of course, I can't go without saying grown-ass man, Drew McIntyre. That's what I call him. And that's what he is. He went away as a kid, and he came back as a grown man, and he defeated the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. And I have to say this without a shadow of a doubt, the #1 female wrestler in the history of the world, Miss Charlotte Flair.
Woo!
And Charlotte, woo if you got them. And I love her. I think that she's one that everybody can battle to see who's second until she's ready to step down or somebody grows into the position to dethrone her. And last, and certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, the Beast, Brock Lesnar. And Brock got defeated by Drew McIntyre. But everybody needs that moment where you fail and you have to get back up. And Brock is going to come back angry. And I don't think he's going to come after the title. Even if Drew McIntyre loses the title, Brock Lesnar is coming for him. And we're all going to get to see it. And I got another top 5, but I tell you what, Seth Rollins was my honorable mention, and the rest are all women. How about that?
That sounds like you just saved yourself, but I like it.
I don't know, Mark. You didn't sound as confident with your picks as Booker.
Yeah.
Politicking, man.
I really appreciate
y'all boys
come on. I mean, keep it real. I mean, Brock Lesnar, I mean, the guy, he's too much. I mean, the payroll. I mean, a guy like him, you drop him, you get rid of him. I mean, a guy like Randy Orton, he's a loner. He gets along. He's not a leader. I mean, and I love
I didn't get a salary cap.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, I'm just saying those picks seem like you're just picking with your heart. Yeah.
It is interesting, though. I mean, even though you went honorable mention here, Mark, I mean, nobody else we didn't have Seth Rollins and we didn't have a Becky Lynch. Very surprising. I mean, while you guys are talking about building a strong women's division, I mean, Becky Lynch has been the biggest superstar to come out of WWE in a long, long time.
Renee, I did say that my next 4 picks were all women.
Hey, I put my team together like a small promoted, with a little showdown in Houston, Texas called Reality of Wrestling.
All right, guys.
Shameless plug.
Stick with us here on WWE Backstage. He made a return to the ring last night. How did former WWE champion Jinder Mahal look? We'll talk about it all when WWE Backstage comes back.
Jinder Mahal is manhandling Tozawa in this fight. Now sets up Tozawa for the collapse. The collapse. The move that helped him capture the WWE title helps him gain a victory tonight.
Look, I know that I wasn't the only one super excited to see familiar face back in action last night. No, Twitter was overwhelmingly excited to see the Maharaja on Raw last night. He's back, baby. He looks good. He's ready to party. So, I mean, as a former world champion, he's also been such a polarizing force in WWE. Mark, how do you feel about the return of Jinder Mahal?
Man, I was so excited seeing Jinder, not just because he returned, but he returned looking like Adonis. He looked so good. And, I always thought that his one weakness was his legs. Not now. Jinder came back. Jinder been squatting while he was gone.
Dropping it low and picking it up slow, baby.
I enjoyed it.
Book, how do you feel about Jinder Mahal being back?
Jinder, he always was one of my guys. He always fell somewhere with, close within my fave 5. And to see Jinder back, I'm loving it. But I do think, I would have liked a much better build up, for the Maharaja making his return. I mean, the king is back, and there's several different kings, several different gods, but I think he's one of them. And I just think he should have been built up a little bit bigger in his return.
Christian, what do you think about that? You think that there should have been more of a build for him, or do you think it was smart to just throw him out there and get him back into the mix?
Well, I mean, we did hear him talk after that he felt disrespected in a certain sense by WWE, so maybe it plays into that. Maybe it was meant to be a surprise, a little shock for the viewers. Here's the thing. I like Jinder. When he was the champion before, I was really happy to see him in that position, but I did feel that he needed to find another gear to stay there. And it's up to him if he can find that gear. And I think he can. I think he's that talented. I think of a guy like Drew McIntyre, you know, what he's done, how he's managed to build himself up to that point. If Drew can kind of take that if Jinder can kind of take that blueprint and make it work for him, you know, there's no reason why he can't go all the way. I mean, he's got all the tools. As far as where I see him slot in, I'm thinking right now U.S. title picture would be great. Or maybe if, you know, Apollo is out of that Money in the Bank match, maybe that's a spot Jinder could slot into.
Ooh, I like that a lot. That would be great.
I don't
Smart.
know. For me, I say give the Maharaja about 10 weeks of Tozawas. You know what I mean?
All right.
I'm talking about on a rerun, on a loop. You know what I mean? Every week, I need somebody about that same size, and just let me go out here and build myself back up to get the people feeling a certain way about me. And I don't think we need. And what I'm saying is, I don't think we need to rush Jinder Mahal into anything right now.
Well, I think that Jinder definitely is going to have some huge opportunities in his future. Now, for a different WWE superstar, that big opportunity actually came last night on Raw.
About to take it to the skies. Oh, setting up for the moonsault. Oh, and clobbered by Andrade. It looked like Cruz tweaked the knee. Andrade down. Thought about the splash.
Oh, no.
He came down right down on that knee.
Hey, ring a bell.
Oh, this is heartbreaking.
Not like this.
Right on time here. So, Booker, I'm coming to you on this one. What do you think about Apollo Crews getting this spotlight and unfortunately now going to be out of Money in the Bank? Don't do the tears to me.
I feel bad for Apollo, but you know what? These guys, you know, like Apollo, I look at him when I first saw Apollo. I said, you look at him in that box, man. You know, he's got everything. Every box is checked off. But when I see a guy like this go out in the ring, you know, he's jumping off everything. He's jumping through the ring. He's turning flips. You know what I mean? It's bound to happen. It's not, if it's when you go get hurt or something like that. You know, for me, he had a chance to actually, you know, make a huge impact and to go out there against a guy like Andrade's to actually get a victory and then to have a second chance and then go out there and blow it. Hey, that's on him. You know, hopefully he'll come back.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think that we're all sitting back rooting for Apollo. So excited to see what he's going to do in the future. So Rob Gronkowski is both a 24/7 champion and an NFL tight end. Dennis Rodman knew a thing or two about juggling sports entertainment and his day job as one of the premier NBA rebounders. We'll talk about both when Backstage returns.
Yes, we need a lot of security. We need security everywhere, every tunnel, every entrance, everywhere in the stadium. Because I'm the 24/7 WWE title belt champion right now of the world. And everyone's coming for me. Everyone's coming for me. My friends are coming for me. And it's special right now to have it during this quarantine time because no one can find me. No one can get to me. So I'm the champ for a while. I am the champ right now. And everyone's going to be coming for me. I got to have extra security. But what's crazy is that the security people, it's the 24/7 belt. Anyone can win it at any time. So I better watch out. I got to watch my own back.
Well, Rob Gronkowski is a target on his back 24 hours a day, 7 days a week these days. But it isn't just WWE superstars who want a piece of the future Hall of Fame tight end.
Somebody asked me, Dennis, you want to wrestle again? I could tell you a guy I'd really want to wrestle. That's Gronkowski. I mean, that's what Rob, whatever the guy from New England. Gronkowski? Yep. He talks a lot of shit. I'm 58 years old, and you like 32, 33 years old. Great. It don't matter to me. Let's go in and do this. This ain't about me making no money. I just go in and wrestle his ass. Let's go in and do it.
All right, Christian, come on. You want to see the Gronk versus Rodzilla? You down?
Let me put it to you like this. That'd be like saying, hey, you know what? It's the Super Bowl. Why not throw me in at tight end? Or like, you know, if we're talking about the documentary that's on The Last Dance, hey, you know what? Why don't you put me in a starting point guard for this Game 7 against the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals? How about that? You know, there's a saying, the blind leading the blind here. You know, these guys are a little bit out of their element. It's to be a cluster. Put them with somebody that knows what they're doing, and maybe we'll talk about it.
Mark.
Well, first, I think Dennis Rodman needs to know how to pronounce his damn name. How about that? Like, you can't book a match if you don't know the dude's name. Secondly, I think it'll be entertaining. Just on the simple fact of what Christian just said, it can be a giant cluster. And I'm more excited to see that than to see a Mac Classic.
See, guys, y'all missing the big picture, all right? Because I'm thinking like a small promoter down in Houston, Texas, with a little small promotion. And if I see Dennis Rodman and we got Gronkowski, man, we could book this in the biggest strip club in the city. I'm talking about a bunch of liquor, and it could be the biggest party. You talk about the biggest party of the summer.
You're right. You're right.
Hey, man, we could do this.
The biggest party of the summer. I'm dying. All right, so Rodman earned 5 different NBA championships, going back to back with the Pistons, and later on a three-peat with the Bulls. Now, speaking of the Bulls, Mark, I hear that you had a little bit of brush with Bulls greatness.
I did. I did indeed. I went to they didn't stay in the village. So I went to the hotel to see friends, Karl Malone and Charles Barkley and David Robinson. I knew. So I wanted to see them, and Michael walks up and he's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Who the hell are you?" And I said, "Listen, you asked me. Asked me correctly." And it kind of got to that, but he apologized. His birthday came up, in a few months at the All-Star game in San Antonio. His people, he invited me, and I actually accepted and went, had a good time at his birthday party. And it never was a big deal. He did the right thing. He apologized. I accepted, and had a good time.
Speaking of apologies, I would like to take a look back at this photo from 1996, and I would like a little explaining from you, Mark.
Hey, it's called Naked Power and Amazing Grace. It was a Life magazine deal, and I don't have a problem with being naked. As you notice, that is a 45-pound plate covering up all that goodness.
The birth of sexual chocolate. We were ready.
I was sexual chocolate long before wrestling.
You'll always be sexual chocolate to us, Mark. So usually our guy Booker T is fun at other people's expenses, but when we come back, it's the rest of our panel's turn to get their licks in. More Backstage in just a moment. Next Tuesday, WWE is bringing the heat on FS1 starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's the best of WWE, Ric Flair's best matches in WWE, followed by the best of WrestleMania matches for Edge, then the best of WWE, Brock Lesnar's most dominant matches. Then we've got the best of WrestleMania, the Roman Reigns edition. It all leads up to a brand new episode of WWE Backstage. So, gentlemen, here's the thing. During times like this, what we all need is a good laugh. Now, thanks to our pal Booker T, we got you covered.
Yeah.
We went into the vault for the two-time WWE Hall of Famers roast from 3 years ago, got some laughs at his expense, courtesy of our guy MVP.
As we all know, you're the five-time WCW World Champion. What an amazing achievement to brag about. It's like if I went around bragging about being the five-time Florida Department of Corrections Inmate of the Month.
Well, the full roast will soon be released in parts over at Book's Reality of Wrestling YouTube channel. Now, since it seems that we all happen to lose our invites, I'm going to let you guys tee off.
Hey, come on, man.
Let loose on the man. Booker T, got it coming.
Renee, I can tell you right now, I think that we all should have a silence button for Book, so he can say something when he actually finds something important to say, or so he don't interrupt us.
Listen. I'm not going to sit here. Booker's my guy. He's my friend, and we've been up and down the road together. I'm not going to sit here and make fun of him. I'm not going to roast him. I'm not going to do any of that.
Thanks,
I'm not going to say. To Mark, we should mute. I don't agree with that. I mean, I don't need to roast him because basically every time Booker opens his mouth, he roasts himself, right?
See what I'm saying? It's ridiculous, man.
Boom, roasted. Listen, my only issue with Booker is that he made a meal called the Sam and thinks that that's an actual thing. It's crab on a tomato. It's ridiculous. We'll leave the roasting to MVP. But guys, that's it for us. Thanks to Shawn Michaels.
You suck.
Yeah.
Sam is good.
Screw the Sam.